And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture every single week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts, and on radio stations worldwide, plus also as well Inside Sports Fantasy Football and Game Source. Of course, the folks at LakersBall.com. Go ahead and check out Ox 1947 today, now that he's back in his home. You know he wants to go ahead and talk Lakers, and he does so at LakersBall.com. Plus, he owns a business that he has come back to after his trashing of hotel rooms and crashing weddings back east. Well, actually, in the Midwest, per se, Detroit to be exact. But you can go ahead and catch him today at SynBlades, SynBlades with a Y.com, if you need a lawn transformed into something much more magical than it is today in the Southern California area. Go ahead and check out SynBlades, SynBlades with a Y.com. Plus, also our good friends at Lakerholics.com. I don't know if they're feuding or not today, but Laker Tom was actually commenting on at Laker Tom on Twitter about another trade going on, as far as it wasn't his proposal this time around. So go ahead and hear what he has to say, plus also everything that's going on with Lakerholics.com with Jamie Sweet and his 5 Things articles. Jamie Sweet wanted to go ahead and make sure and let you know, my friend, I know you were sharing some deep thoughts earlier today. I just want to go ahead and say all the best to you, my friend. I know what this brings about as far as a day like today. Rough day for many, but our thoughts are with you, my friend, as they are with LeBron James, Savannah James, and the rest of the James family right now. But wanted to go ahead and mention you can go ahead and catch them today at Lakerholics.com. Our good friend, John McCallion, he's streaming right now at the John McCallion channel. So go ahead and check it out today after our broadcast here and subscribe. Speaking of subscribing, go ahead and subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. Our good friend Stone Hansen has wrapped up a great season of analysis on the draft. You can go ahead and check out all that in the archives at UpsideSwings.com for the Upside Swings NBA Draft podcast. And if you can support all that, plus again, subscribe. Go ahead and click on Joe's little beady eyes right there underneath Sean. Go ahead and click on it today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air, or like our Facebook page. We had a lot of people earlier today for the breaking news that actually caught us on Facebook. So go ahead and do that today. Plus also go ahead and follow us, like us, share, get the word out. We're still less than 80 subscribers away from getting to 1,000 on YouTube. I need a few more subscribers to go. I can start posting things on LinkedIn. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, that really would help me out as well. So go ahead and check us out today, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you do so and support us any which way you can, it is sincerely appreciated. Well, unfortunately, since the terrible and tragic news that was reported earlier today by Shams Charania and the following statement that was given by the James family, we have not heard any update as of yet on the condition or status of Bronny James. We only know that he was taken out of ICU and is now listed in stable condition at USC Medical Center after suffering a cardiac arrest after a practice or during a practice at the USC practice facility. So our thoughts and prayers are with them, and hopefully everything will turn out okay. I know we talked about it at length, and you can find that on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook channel, or wherever you get your podcasts as well. But I just wanted to go ahead and make sure we reiterate our thoughts are with LeBron James and his family. I know we still have a lot of people out there speculating on what may be the cause. Please refrain from doing that here in the chat. Just want to try and keep it a friendly chat, talking about the Lakers and what's going on. If you want to send your heartfelt wishes, obviously that's very much approved and appreciated. But if you want to go ahead and start saying why you think Bronny James had his issues, eh, 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 just go ahead. That's what X Twitter or Twitter X is for, indeed. But we're going to be talking our second profile of this week for another new member of the Los Angeles Lakers. It is an individual that my fellow panelists and I heard at length on the show, saw it in the chat day by day, late December, January, February. We got to go ahead and get Cam Reddish. He's riding the pine in New York. He was riding a pine in Atlanta, never got a good opportunity, blah, 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 blah. We got to go ahead and get him in here. So he got traded to Portland, finished out last season with Portland. And guess what? He's a free agent, and we get him here on the veterans minimum. So we'll talk about Cam Reddish. But to start off with Cam Reddish, good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check him out today whenever he's here. It's the Madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic this morning to go ahead and update you on Bronny James, and tonight to talk about Cam Reddish. Good man indeed. It's the Magic Man, Sean Grice, and Magic Man. Great to have you here. We're talking Cam Reddish, whether I like it or not.
I personally am kind of lukewarm about it, Gerald. Um,
Fine,
I'll,
that's probably the best way to say it.
yeah, I'll try and be a little cheery about him, but
There's
my God,
positives and negatives, like we
yeah,
dealt with yesterday with
it,
Gabe
I,
Vincent as well.
yes, and it almost seems that they're like polar repelling one another. Like they're very equal. Like the positives equal the negatives, and you just never know what you're gonna get with that.
Hmm.
Seems like his whole career has been that way, Gerald. And I got to be honest, with all the hoopla and hullabaloo, and that Duke class was phenomenal, Gerald. But I felt he came up a little short during his
Looked
stint.
good on paper, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And there were, and I look back, and there were all kind of comps to Jamal Mashburn, Rudy Gay. I mean, Gerald, we're talking, premier shooters
Yeah.
once upon a time in their careers, and it's I don't see it, you don't see it, nobody really sees it, and like you said, uh, it looked good on paper. 6'8", um, 210, can defend 1 to 4. I mean, depending on where you look, whether it was Basketball Reference or Draft 24/7 or ESPN, they have them listed anywhere from a shooting guard to a power forward. So, I mean, it's kind of it really is a mixed bag with him. You just never know what you're going to get in that mystery bag that is Cam Reddish.
This is for sure. So again, I wasn't high on bringing him in here. I even was, chastising our own audience on several occasions, as you heard in the back in the day about Cam Reddish. Really, the reason why I say that is while he could be very much a benefit by being with the Lakers system where it's heavily reliant on transition, heavily reliant on getting to the free throw line, heavily reliant on just doing things outside of a normal traditional half court offense, that could be really good for him. But your thoughts on this, my friend? It starts off with a jump shot and it's not that good.
No, it's not that good, Gerald. It just seems that there's something. It almost looks mechanically awkward. I mean, it from the very start, even when he was with Atlanta and he was trying to get playing time, there just seems that there's been different incarnations of it, and it just doesn't look good. And the percentages show it. I mean, he's the further out he shoots, it gets worse and worse. And again, as Gerald noted on paper, he was noted as a prolific shooter in high school. Could handle the ball a little. Saw some of it at Duke, and he wound up being a lottery pick. But I will say that I do remember the draft Titan, that is Rafael Barlow, said that he thought Cam Reddish benefited a lot from playing alongside Zion Williamson and Trey Jones and RJ Barrett, and found himself into the lottery drilled. So, uh, I mean, it could he be another reclamation project like Rui Hashimura? Sure. I just don't see it, because here's another thing that I've always kind of pointed out, Gerald, is that when he was disgruntled about his playing time with the Hawks and got his wish and he was traded to a team that had a vaunted defensive minded head coach. And if there was any
Ah, Tibbs. Oh, I ain't talking about Sean. I'm gonna guard him. I'm gonna rip their face off. Ah.
Gerald's impression is almost spot on. It's like that is Tibbs. He is just gravelly in vocabulary and in outward appearance as well. Very rough, very rugged, and he expects the same out of players. He expects to um, kind of unlock themselves because he has given guys that opportunity before, but Cam Reddish just never took advantage of it. Gerald, he averaged less than 10 points per game with that team. Tibbs really tried to put him in positions where he could succeed with other ball handlers that could get him easy shots. But as you said, the jump shot was never there.
It's just never there. It's only been like a brief bit of time. 34 games he was with Atlanta in 21-22, where he shot 38%. Before that, yeah, that brought it down, I guess, to 33% in his first season with Atlanta, then 26, 31, 26, 30, 31. It's ugly, my friend. It's ugly. And the thing is, though, he's an excellent free throw shooter. And I think that's why a lot of people bought into him finally figuring it out behind the arc, was because he's such an outstanding free throw shooter, which again, it just kind of perplexes me that he hasn't been able to figure it out as of yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. I again, kind of an anomaly there. I agree. Very good free throw shooter. Sub 83, 85, almost 90%. But the jump shot is in the mid 30s. Sometimes he can get it up to the 40s, depending on the locale. But for the most part, Gerald, his 6'8" frame and his ability to create open shots is kind of overplayed. It's overrated. Uh, he's never developed that quality in the NBA, and it's frustrating, man, because I don't think unless there's an injury or two, because I don't think he would supplant necessarily depth that we have in the guard or the wing position if there was an injury. I said injury or two. Uh, Failing that, I don't think he's going to get a lot of playing time.
Dre, that could be a very well reason why. He was heavily recruited out of high school, but I guess the Anthony Edwards was saying that Cam was good in high school, and that's the only reason why he's in the NBA now. But he was obviously very much favored by a lot of individuals, and of course, he went high in the NBA draft as a lottery pick. And you see what the result is there, as far as possibly being a bust. This is his fourth team. He's already still not found a way to find consistency on any rotation or his 3-point shot. But when it comes to the Lakers, this is not only his chance at retribution, but also a chance for him to go ahead and play within a system that might cater to his talents a lot more. So I will say that I think that I just think that this could be, if there's anywhere there's a good opportunity, it is with the Lakers, because
Mhm.
they do two things that he does well. And this is what fascinated everyone, was that he was a very athletic, exciting individual, and people watch the highlight reels on Twitter and they just go, "Oh, Cam Reddish got to be on the Lakers." Well, he is now on the Lakers. The Lakers have to accentuate his talents. He has to be with LeBron. When LeBron pushes it up the floor, obviously could be a great wingman taking it to the basket. That's one of his strengths. Getting to the line, being able to convert. That to me is the key. If you can get him out on transition quite a bit, he could actually see a resurgence and a good way to go ahead and stay in this rotation.
Yeah, Gerald, I think you're 100% right. I think that the two ways he's going to benefit. Gerald hit it right on the head. If he does get playing time, he's got to be with LeBron on the floor, and he'll be able to score efficiently in, like Gerald said, two different ways. He can run, so he can be a nice wingman off the seams, or he could drive and cut. And that's where he's going to get a lot of his points because he's not going to be asked to be a shooter. He's a poor shooter. I'm sure he'll get some opportunities, but as Gerald has said, his offense is going to be predicated on running the floor and drive and cut.
Couldn't agree with you more on that. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice, with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. I will ask you, though, my friend, when it comes to Cam Reddish does have to go ahead and be more versatile. I think he has to go ahead and be developing that shot and be a little bit more consistent in order to stay in the rotation. But even if he's at 33%, 34%, he can still find some time. There's going to be some injuries somewhere during the season. We're going to need something as far as a wing who plays a big guard or a small forward. I understand everybody wants Max Christie after his great performance in Summer League to take over the backup shooting guard role. But when you have someone like Cam Reddish, who's very athletic, very gifted, and can actually thrive in this type of system, I really think that if he doesn't get the opportunity now, I'm not sure if he ever will, Sean.
Yeah, I agree, Gerald. It's make or break time for this young fella right here,
Yeah.
because yesterday I talked about Gabe Vincent being a tough mother bugger. Well, Cam Reddish is a tough mother bugger to figure out. Um, and I think the the only way he's going to be able to develop is by playing hard defensively, rebounding well, running the floor, and driving and cutting. Because, as we said, he's not going to be asked to shoot a lot. He's a poor shooter. So, drive and cut and run your ass off is going to be his offense. And you know what, Gerald? If that's the predication, yeah, I mean, you could use that for sure. I mean, there are teams like the Memphis Grizzlies who the Lakers are probably going to run into again in the playoffs. And if Cam Reddish is, that being that effective, not 3 and D, but 3 and cut, 3 and drive guy, I think it portends well to matchup preferences for Ham, because Ham will play big guys against bigger teams. And other and most Laker fans, well, I think might like that idea because it would allow for a more versatile lineup necessarily. Now we know he's going to live and die on that 3 guard lineup hill, so I I don't think even if Cam Reddish maxes out his potential, he would be, a starting 5 or, in our core, in a playoff run.
Who does he remind you athletically? Until Wild was asking the question, I'd say I don't want to
Without the
go.
jump shot, he looks very similar, like body type, and that very similar to Rudy
I
Gay.
was gonna say to Drexler. I was gonna say
Okay.
a little bit of that, but did not obviously can't reach the heights that Clyde did. But I think when everybody sees the highlight reels and they go ooh and ah with what he can do and the athleticism that he does have, I think that's what gets everybody going. But then again, if you peel the layers behind his game, you also see as well some deficiencies on the defensive end. If you looked at his rating on StatMuse, 115, 113, 114, 118. Those are not great numbers, my friend. Those are not pretty as far as the defensive rating is concerned, Sean.
Yeah. Oh, Gerald, those are Christian Wood like numbers.
Those are, well, actually, Christian Wood has got better numbers defensively than that. So
By a little bit, right? But
by a
that
little
is
bit,
just
absolutely.
god awful, horror awful. Um, I, I'm at a loss, for a guy for a guy for this much praiseworthiness that he got during
Well,
the
now in our
during,
chat, it's the exact opposite. He's not a good athlete. He's not a good player. He's not. I'm
he's not a
I'm
bad
seeing the exact
athlete.
opposite. I read for months that everybody wanted him here. Now we got him here. Now it sounds like we don't want him here.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. All right. I mean, Joe, do you feel the same way?
Also here today, good man indeed. He has returned to us earlier today and now returned to us here tonight as well. He has not joined Trevor Lane at Lakers Nation, so he has returned to us. Good man indeed. He brings back the quaff. He brings back the wedding gifts. He is a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check him out today at SynBlades, SynBlades with a Y.com, and of course, LakersBall.com. It is Joe Soro. And Joe, good to have you here, my friend. You were here for all those months. There you go. They're all working it, working it. Oh,
Is there a
yeah.
quaff?
It's a quaff. Absolutely,
I don't know
indeed.
about a quaff. It's still too short for a quaff, but I'll
Okay,
take it.
but we'll take it. But my friend, you were here and we were back going back and forth with our audience, especially the guys who would come randomly here in the chat and go, "Oh, you guys got to get Cam Reddish. Oh, Cam Reddish to the Lakers. Oh, Cam Reddish to the Lakers. Oh, he's riding the pine in New York. Got to bring him over here to the Lakers. Got to trade for him. Got to trade." Well, we didn't need to trade for him. We got him as a free agent. So your thoughts, my friend? Now we got him. The thing is, can he finally showcase his skills that made him a lottery pick with the Lakers? His fourth NBA team in 4 years.
Uh,
We talk about Christian Wood.
endorphin. I still need to see a picture of your wife before I make that prediction. I've told you guys this already. Anyways, the Cam Reddish issues have been two things. Number one, is he a professional? And you can ask that about a lot of players. He's not unique in that realm. The other thing is he about his stats, which I can confirm by watching him play? Now, I haven't watched him play a lot, but in the time I've watched him, when you look at someone like Tom Thibodeau and wonder why he wasn't a big fan, Tom Thibodeau is about defense, grit, teamwork. When they say old school, Tom Thibodeau is legitimately old school. So in this day and age, that's kind of hard to judge a little bit because we have a pansy soft society and most of those guys play in the NBA. But there are three other teams where he failed. And the guy that continues to complain about playing time with more than 1, 2, 3, 4 teams is usually a guy that's not doing what he's supposed to get playing time. Again, based off of what I've seen, he hasn't shown the professional part of his game. Of course he's athletic. Of course he's got skills. But this is not about just athleticism and skill. If it was about that, we'd be watching N1 games, instead of NBA games. So we're going to see if Darvin Ham can pull out the professional in him and then harness that athleticism, which we desperately need this year. I am not sitting on that one very high, but I am wishing I'm wrong.
You and I both. We've talked about it for months now about how we really didn't want him on this team, but I'm going to tell you, Joe, if there's anywhere that he can thrive, because he's close to a 90% free thrower, and he's athletic and loves to run. This could be, if there's anywhere in the NBA, it could be the Lakers because they keep the pace high. They love transition and they love to go to the free throw line.
And we're also going to find out if Max Christie plays well. Is he going to get playing time? And is that going to cause an issue for him as well? You have to watch his attitude. I think ultimately most of these guys get themselves bounced out because of their attitudes, i.e. Christian Wood being one of those, because these guys are way too talented to be in this position, but they can't seem to put it together on a team concept.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, search and destroy. He has finished the season above 90%. He is mostly in the 80s, mid 80s. So let's just say he's like between 85 and 90%, which is still pretty darn good indeed for an NBA player. MagicMan, the one thing I want to ask you though is, we talked about his defense, we talked about his free throw shooting, we talked about all the various things. Joe has said right, because if Max Christie can take the momentum he took from he made and created from summer league and translate that into a consistent role player coming off the bench for the Los Angeles Lakers for that shooting guard slot, there's not going to be a position for Cam. But conversely, there might be some options if Torian Prince or, dare I say it, Rui Hashimura don't continue to impress. If those guys don't impress, and in the case of Torian, which could be a very real possibility, because he obviously didn't impress for Minnesota because they dumped him, and instead of paying him $10 million, they decided to pay Naz Reid instead. Your thoughts though on this, where if Cam Reddish could thrive, it may not be at the 2. It may be more like the 3, maybe a small ball 4. Maybe. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, maybe Gerald, you could talk yourself into that. Maybe. But yeah, like
I don't know how much better than that would be to our Zangerstein's favorite 3-guard lineup. Yeah.
Like 2 to 4 is probably where he's likely going to be slotted, and
because he did play some 4.
Yeah, his minutes allotted there between the off guard and the wing positions. However, I'm rooting for him, and so are you, and so is everybody else. Sure, we want Max Christie in that backup off guard role, not Cam Reddish. Like, Max has earned the opportunity to still be slotted into that role. I thought he played exceptionally well in the summer league. I think he's going to play really well in training camp and during the preseason. So I expect Max to basically get the bulk, as we'll say, of the minutes of the backup off guard position. Then, like you said, Gerald, Cam Reddish has to watch Torian Prince struggle. He has to watch Rui struggle. At this point, even with some offensive deficiencies, Vando has shown himself to be able to hit the corner 3. He can cut. He could drive. His ability to defend 1 to 4 is, on par with maybe 5 to 6 other players in the NBA. So he's not going to get minutes ahead of Vando. Further than that, I just don't see a role for him, Gerald, outside of,
I think he's insurance.
Yeah, that's it. That's a perfect description for what this signing is. It's just insurance.
Joe, I'm just going to say right now, again, you and I have our trepidations on bringing him in. But again, as with Christian Wood, if you bring him in properly, you're going to get him on the cheap. We got Cam Reddish on the cheap. It is the veterans minimum. If it doesn't work out, he's gone by this time next summer and we try someone else. I think that a young player with some upside possibility, with some athleticism, that can actually help you in certain spots when it comes to transition and free throws and a little bit of versatility. I think it's not all that bad when it comes to Cam Reddish.
Well, it won't be bad because there's plenty of tweener small forwards on the team versus Christian Wood, who's a center big that the Lakers need, because Jackson Hayes is not really going to be starting center material no matter what there. And we don't have anyone else besides AD to play that position. I just think it's comparing apples to oranges in that respect. They both have the same issues of not likely being good team players, but I'd say it's going to be much easier for Christian Wood to get the minutes that he wants because we need his minutes in a position that we need minutes at. And the better he plays, the more minutes he gets at that position, that means less time for our star to have to deal with that position. And we're still waiting on something. I don't know what they're waiting for, but I'm going to take a guess that at some point someone's finally going to tell Christian Wood, we're not giving you anything and we're not trading you. And then he'll have to make that choice to go to LA.
Because there's going to be other players, like everybody's going to be looking at Oklahoma City, who has 20 players right now. They're going to have to get rid of at least one big man, young big man, off that roster. Again, I would love to see Pokusevski on this roster for the Lakers. I think.
Yeah, but is he going to be veteran minimum?
Well, the thing is, he would probably, if he's waived right now, it would probably someone probably pick up what $3 or $4 million a year contract that he's worth, because they think he'd probably go ahead and get a flyer on him. Mm-hmm. I think he probably wouldn't clear waivers. I don't think many of these guys that are on the back end, like 12 through 20, Joe and Sean, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think if they get rid of any of those guys in the rotation right now, that most of them will go ahead and not clear waivers. I think maybe a Ty Washington would clear waivers. Maybe Usman Garuba. I'm not even sure about Usman Garuba because of what he can bring for you defensively.
Yeah, I don't think Garuba would go
Isaiah Joe. There's a lot of guys right there. Earl. He's also a big man that can help you out as well. They've got a lot of young players, Joe, that are actually, if they were out in the marketplace right now, they would be considered some of the best free agents available. That's how good they are. That's how good their team is going to be. And it's just, the thing is, they're going to be doing this again each and every year for the next 4 or 5 years, because it's
going to be a carousel of them having to let go very good, very young players because of the path they chose. It's just, Gerald, it's kind of like the return on investment, and then it's capital gains time. Like that's kind of what it is. They have to give up a little bit of youth and a pretty good player here or there.
I'm still puzzled at what the advantage is in having so many assets in the draft and so many viable players on your roster that you can't keep. It's almost more of an insult to yourself doing all that for what?
Like a revolving door?
It really is, because now you're looking like maybe a little bit better version of the Oakland A's. Why are you garnering all these draft picks and drafting all these talented players or picking them up or whatever, yet you're just giving them away because you can't roster them? What's the benefit there? Are they going to complain before the next CBA and do nothing about it? It doesn't make any sense unless they're going to be able to package a deal to get a star.
Which is when you have 35
but no one wants to go to Oklahoma City. See, this is the part of parity that needs to stop being said in the NBA. The players don't want parity. They're already getting paid their money, so they don't give two craps about parity. What they will want when they request a trade is, I want to go to Miami or LA. Maybe New York, but New York's been kind of a black hole for the last 50 years. Their first two words are more viable than the Knicks. The Knicks have been like the Cleveland Indians. They won one so far ago, it might as well not have been a title now. And it doesn't make any sense how they've structured this. We're foaming out of the mouth for Presti and how great he is. And we talked about this yesterday. What am I supposed to be impressed with? That you broke up a potential dynasty because you didn't want to pay James Harden? That's a bad negative in my book, because if you have kept James Harden, you probably have won at least 1 or 2 titles. And then on top of that, you fix whatever you fix because you're able to pounce on the renters across the hall by stealing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for playoff P crap, and you made up a little bit of ground there. But then now what? Now, okay, Chet Holmgren is healthy finally, and then you got this team that's building. What's next? Are you going to go after a star? Are you going to go after Joel Embiid? Can you convince Joel Embiid to come to Oklahoma City if things go south in Philly. Because if you have Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Joel Embiid, now I'm listening. Now Presti's on my good list. All right, you put this thing together. You got all these assets. Now go win a championship.
Congratulations to Joel Embiid on his marriage this past weekend to I don't remember her name, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
What is that? Are you a subscriber to In Touch? You know this
No,
stuff?
it just flashed across the screen as far as the article's concerned. I just know he got married, so more power to him.
His son is his.
He's happy right now
His
until
son
he
is
gets
his little twin.
Yep.
I mean, they look so much alike. That's going to be a big boy when he grows up. Holy smokes.
All I say is, he's happy now. Everything's blissful. And then he gets into camp with the 76ers.
That could be so much fun.
Yeah, going to be so much fun.
So much fun.
Especially if there's a disgruntled.
Well, why is he disgruntled? Hasn't he had his ass
Gerald,
his entire time there?
He's going to let his fat ass hang out in the Philadelphia strip clubs. He's just
why would Joel Embiid be mad at the Sixers in any way?
Did you hear the comments that he made, a week ago?
I did hear it. Why would he say that?
He's obviously trying to just deal
against,
with the LeBron thing.
Against a team that's catered to him like a baby.
He's obviously trying to do the same thing that LeBron does, is doing those comments that make.
That is
thank you,
redemption. Different. That is completely different. First of all, LeBron is a completely different boat. Okay, he is LeBron is an all-timer, and we say great nowadays like it's M&Ms, regular M&Ms, not even peanut M&Ms. No. Not everyone is great, even guys that have won MVP. If you don't believe me, Russell Westbrook was an MVP. James Harden was an MVP. I'm talking about great, like Magic, Bird, Jordan, LeBron. That's a different beast. LeBron is a different beast. If LeBron is asking for certain things and he's that great, LeBron makes you relevant. LeBron takes you to the finals. He wins titles. He brings $1 billion worth of attention your way. Half this country doesn't even know who Joel Embiid is, if not more.
But Joel Embiid drops in Philadelphia or somewhere else as far as winning a championship, because
that's an insult to management. That has kissed your ass.
As you talked about last week, because he was so focused on just getting the MVP, as you noted last week. I'm going to give you credit. You noted that last week that he was solely focused seemingly on the MVP and forget the rest of the team and forget the team outlook and all that. And that may have been part of the reason why, along with Kawhi Leonard's lucky bounces right there, the reason why he's never been to a conference final. But when it comes to what we see now with him, he's now saying he's focused in on winning a title only. Again, when he drops the Philadelphia or somewhere else, it just tries to go ahead and send a message to the front office. You've seen this done before by LeBron and other players, where they drop these sentences or these words that supposed to be like, oh, it's supposed to get them nervous. I mean, what Daryl Morey's going to trade? He's known as Trader Daryl. When you have a GM known as Trader in front of the name, that tells you he's tried everything and then some to get this team to where it's at. So if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And I don't think it's going to work, because the fact is Boston looks like they're, a little bit better team. You also have Cleveland, which improved in the offseason. You still got Milwaukee there. I don't see Philadelphia climbing up the ranks anymore, Sean. I don't see them climbing any higher. Maybe they can get to the conference finals this year, but that would take a Herculean effort by Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it would, Gerald. That's what it would require. They're mid. They are a mid. They're the mid mean, pretty much. Neither warm nor cold. So lukewarm, gonna spit you out of my mouth. That's what the good book says. I think that's pretty much what they are. Even with the addition of Nick Nurse as a head coach, I just think the dysfunctionality.
Snuggles, thank you for subscribing. Truly appreciate it. Always good to have a Snuggles as a subscriber.
The fact that they brought the best coach available, you would think after you've won your MVP, after lobbying and listening, having to listen to your mouth for the last 2-3 years, how you wanted MVP. Where were you when you were up 3-2? Where were you then? Why weren't you thinking about winning a championship then? Why are you worrying about it now?
Because everybody's throwing stuff at the way, Sean, I'm sorry, my apologies. Everybody's throwing stuff at the way at Harden about, after that great start to the series, Harden folded like he always does. Yeah, that may have been the case, but Joel Embiid should have said, you know what? You're not cutting it. I'm going to go ahead and step up to the plate. And he didn't. He didn't. And that's why they lost. That's part of the reason why they lost right there. It takes more than just Harden.
These kind of players need to be put on blast.
Instead of on a pedestal.
We put players on blast who shouldn't be put on blast. You bother them when they're trying to leave the arena. You bother them when they're trying to have dinner with their friends and family. You bother them with stupid commentary from things that don't matter. But you don't go after guys like Joel Embiid enough and call them out for being bums when it matters. You sit there and you don't do anything to Ben Simmons, who's crying about mental health, yet he's got enough mental health to try to get us $20 million for not playing.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you need to attack. That's when you go after those guys. Not when they're in the parking lot trying to get some rest so they can get home. And then you got some tabloid BS. Oh, he turned down an autograph. What a dick. No, you're the dick there, okay? Go after the ones that deserve it when they do something. Go after them. Joel Embiid is on my list because he talks through one mouth and then the other mouth is over here at the same time.
Sir, can I have your autograph, sir? Sir?
Sure.
Oh, I thought you were going to say no so I could call you a dick, but all right.
I don't need to say no to an autograph to be a dick.
Okay. That's for sure. That's for sure, indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Truly appreciate it. It is Joe Soro, a.k.a. Ox1947.
Yeah, we don't need to go into the whole Team America skit, although I'd really love to right now.
Yeah, exactly. Lifted says Gerald now needs to censor a bunch of stuff. Not too much. Not too much.
Well, first of all, there's a bunch of guys named Dick, so that shouldn't be censored.
That's that seems to go through on Apple Podcasts, so I'm going to let that one go.
Don't you remember Dick Enberg, NBC?
Yeah, absolutely. Dick Eppersall.
Right? Well, Dick was the big one because there'd be a sideline reporter like Leslie Visser.
Angels.
She would be talking about an injury, yeah, fellas, Lawrence Taylor's out for this game.
I think
and
it's PG-13.
He's hoping to be back next week. Back to you, Dick. I mean, that was a staple finishing off on an interview.
Pussy galore. Great character.
There you go. James Bond indeed. You guys wanted them to talk about movies. You asked me on the Pop Culture Cosmos to get Soro and Sean to talk about movies. Hey, there you go. Start right there as far as the Bond movies are concerned. Yes, Sovereign, that is true. A lot indeed. But before we delve too far down, because there are ladies present in the chat, we truly appreciate everyone being part of what we're doing here. It is the Lakers Fast Break.
He has a sense of humor, Gerald. Our ladies have a sense of humor.
Intel Wild says it best, getting us back in there. Can top end Cam average 14 and 6 off the bench this season and 93% free throw shooting?
Yeah, Intel.
The highest he's ever done is 90. I'm going to say if he does 14 and 6, he's having a lot of volume. He's playing a lot of key minutes. He's on the transition and getting to the free throw line a lot. I'm saying upper 80s. I'm going to say 87%.
I don't think Cam is going to get that many minutes, even if he's playing well.
And with injuries? You don't think with injuries happen?
No. There's too many guys that are playing his position on this team. Those other guys would have to really, really hit the skids.
Like, that's one thing that's really strong about the team, Gerald, is the middle is very strong. Like that's
we're gonna need a miracle, guys. We're gonna need a miracle in that we're gonna need the chemistry and the team effort of 2020. Guys like Caruso played 18 minutes. And look how effective he was in those 18 minutes. He almost felt like he was a starter, but he wasn't. But he was so efficient in those 18 to 22 minutes, let's say, in that range, where you thought he was a player that was always there. He wasn't. They're going to have everyone on this team, especially the new guys, Vincent, Hayes, Reddish, Prince, Vanderbilt, those guys right there, those 4 and 5 guys are going to have to understand that there's going to be games that they play 5 minutes. And then there's going to be games where they play 20 minutes. And they're going to be back to 3, then back to 8, then back to 20. And this is the problem with Reddish in his career. I'm going by what he's done. If he changes his mind, if he matures in LA, cool. I'll be the first to say, good job. You gave us a reason now to think that you're a professional. But before you didn't, because I'm not going to say I was wrong. Not really wrong. I'm basing it off of what he's done. But if he comes in and he's not selfish, whatever that means, that means he's going to play significant minutes when needed. And when he's not, he's got to be up there. And that's one of the things I liked about Tristan Thompson. He's on the team. Guy was the first guy up, clapping, patting people on the back, getting them energized, getting them supported. That's probably one of the reasons why they brought him in there. So be that guy, guys. Be that guy. All of you. All of you guys, be that guy. I don't need a Mateen Cleaves. I don't want any of that. I don't want, like dancing and, gyration everywhere. No. I'm just saying, look, just
so we paid money for a glorified
I don't want a mascot. We're talking. You're a professional. Be a professional. Clap. High five your teammates. Support them. Play well in practice. We want these guys to be unselfish, especially this year. Because if they're not selfish, that's more minutes to guys that can keep LeBron and AD healthy.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, MagicMan, Sean Grice, and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Lifted said something that Stone Hansen is on record saying that he thinks Cam isn't an NBA-level player. I don't know about that. I mean, again, in the right format, he could still come off the bench and be a guy that's like a 9th, 10th, 11th guy. But obviously, he is going to be considered a draft disappointment at the very least. And outside of a great season, if he doesn't have one with the Lakers, Sean, he'll be considered one of those many draft busts.
Yeah, he would be, Gerald. Considering the fact that would be his 1, 2, 3, 4. And 8 seasons, 4 teams, gonna find yourself in a bit of a pickle because
the pickle in China,
or
Europe may be calling.
Puerto Rico,
Las Liga,
Australia.
Australia. Hey, I've watched a couple of those games. Those guys play really hard, Gerald. Really hard.
Absolutely, great for them.
They go for
they also play really hard at the YMCA, but I'm not saying that. So maybe that is his next. Maybe that's Cam's next stop.
You know something, Gerald? I'd be quick to not go there because I would put Joe Ingles and Matthew Dellavedova. Those guys are from the land down under. We're not talking about scrubs here. We're talking about pretty good.
And LaMelo Ball did have his time there. Kind of struggled when he was down there, and that's probably because he took it.
Patty Mills.
Gerald, you just fell for that right now. You could have just stuck to your guns.
But it just shows that
Sean convinced me. Yeah, I'm not allowed to change my mind.
No.
Hey,
John. Yep, Aussie, our good friend Aussie down there. He said our league is tough. Absolutely, got some tough players there. Obviously, sounds like it.
100%. I've watched many a game where Australia played Canada, and they went for blood. Gerald, there was like
I'm sure they go for blood
all over the floor. So I love that kind of competitive spirit. Like, and look at their world ranking, Gerald. They are in the top 10.
There you go. Well, absolutely. Your point is made, despite what Joe says. Your point is made. But with Cam Reddish, again, obviously we want to see him materialize. We've got him now, Joe. You and I did not want him on this team. We kind of scoffed at our audience, in regards to him being thought of on this team before he was on this team. Now he's on this team. We're stuck with him. It is only for the veterans minimum. Let's just be clear. And that's something that I think I can swallow a little bit more, because the fact is he is going to be playing on a veterans minimum. I mean, this is his chance, one of his last chance, like Jackson Hayes, to prove he is still a quality NBA player, or he can be a quality NBA player.
Yeah, it's, throwing darts on the dartboard, see which one gets to the bullseye close enough, right? You don't need all these guys technically to be good. You can have a couple that go down the drain and still be okay. There's only 5 guys that can play at a time, and your rotations are likely only going to go up to 8 to 10 anyways. But whomever does come out of that, we're going to be supporting, and there's going to be at least 2 in the doghouse. So just because there always is. So just get ready, guys. We're going to be talking a lot about guys that have come up and guys that are obviously in the doghouse, and we're not going to want them on the team, and we're going to want to trade. And Tom is going to get on Lakerholics and want to trade Jackson Hayes for Damian Lillard.
Well, right now he's commenting
Bradley
on
Beal.
other people's trades right now, and other,
Yeah, I want to make this very clear. I want to antagonize Tom enough to come back, because that needs to happen. The message on Lakerholics with Jamie's suite was very entertaining, and I want to see more of it. And if it means I got to start the fire this time, I will.
Okay, Billy Joel. Well, when it comes to those,
Great
Sean,
song.
to
That's
yes,
a great song, Gerald. I could
Yes.
see Joe singing that right now.
Southern Comfort says, Joe, please harass Tom. I think right there that would harass Tom, you singing to him like that. But it is Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out what Laker Tom with the Laker Tom lean in, and of course JB Sweet with his 5 things articles. Go ahead and check them out today. I don't know if they're still arguing, but I'm sure we'll hear about it when we do at Lakerholics.
We need to wear wristbands that say, "What would Jamie Sweet say?"
I'll have to ask him.
There you go. WWJS.
Okay.
He could also, be, "What would Joe Soro say?" See, I got you.
Yes, you did. Sean, when it comes to Cam Reddish, though, I mean, I'm not holding out much hope. But, Intel Wild is thinking that maybe we could see a season where it does get turned around. If there's injuries like last season to LeBron and AD, you are going to need all those wing players that you can get, and they will be utilized in rotation. I think at some point he's going to get his opportunity. It just, in an 82 game season, it just never fails that at least, man, from number 1 to number 13, 14, at some point in time during the course of the season, if they're even anywhere near competent, they will get a run at some point in time to earn their money. We saw it with Austin Reeves when he was barely made the team a couple seasons ago. He got his opportunity, and you saw what he did with it. I'm not saying that I'm expecting the same thing for Cam Reddish, but in a system where it's heavily reliant on pace, transition, and free throws, if there's no team he succeeds with more than this one, I'm not sure he succeeds at all.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Gerald. This is like reclamation project number 55 for the Lakers.
Well, we'll be talking about Jackson Hayes here.
Yeah, okay, no, all right.
That's like number 56
on the way. Yeah. Intel has probably the best intentions and the best high hopes for Cam. And I would agree that that's probably his high end. If everything I almost used the wrong word there. If everything kind of goes his way where he gets an opportunity, Gerald, and I agree with you, I think it's going to come, and it presents himself and he runs with it. And like we said, when you're with LeBron on the floor, you need at least 2, probably 3 shooters if you're going to have Reddish out there, because he's just atrocious. So you're going to run the floor hard. You're going to get your opportunities in transition, and you're going to drive and cut. And that's where we're going to be able to get you to eat. Other than that, you're gonna have to fend for scraps. If your jump shot comes along, it comes along. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But primarily, you're going to be asked to cut and drive. And Gerald, could he work out for him and the Lakers? Sure, but I'm giving it less than, you know, less than 18%. That
Wow, that's a number.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just like a random number,
Yeah, well,
18.
I was gonna
Okay.
put 20, but it's like, why? Well, like less than 20% chance that he maxes out and he helps himself and the Lakers. I think it's more like he averages like 10 to 15 minutes a game. He's probably averaging his like career averages, right? Like 6 to 8 points, maybe 3, 4 rebounds, an assist or two, maybe half a steal, block. That's about what he averages.
So I ask you this, Joe. Again, when you look at the free throw numbers, and remember, we always, as when we're looking at draft choices, the draft analysts out there, and I met a lot of them when I was there at and saw a whole huge group of draft analysts that cover the draft. Guys like Stone and Raphael and so many others. When I was at Thomas and Mack, and one of the things they always look at, and they always point to, and they always tell you is like, even though that the kid may have not been a great shooter in college or in high school, et cetera, or at G League or wherever they're going before they get into the draft, if they've got that free throw percentage, Joe, it's going to get there. More than likely, it's going to get there to where they're at least a decent shooter. At only one period of time in his career, with 34 games in Atlanta, has Cam Reddish ever been a competent three-point shooter. This is a guy again that has shot 90% in the league at the free throw line, and it's right around 85% overall for his career. How does this happen where he's just not been able to let it click from beyond the arc?
There's more than just that. It's probably the fact that he can't even get to a rhythm. The games that he's played the most was his rookie year. 58 games, which, I know there was COVID, separation there. So they played, what was it? The 72 games that year.
Yeah.
If you count the players or the teams that went through the whole season after that.
Yeah, with those extra 8 games.
So he played, his fullest season was 58 games, his rookie year, in which he, I guess, had an okay rookie season. Free throws were at 80%, 81 the following year, and then it started to go up from there. He hasn't really played a lot of minutes, and he hasn't played a lot of games. This is why we're predicting that it's probably going to be the same old thing. However, it would benefit the Lakers if he's playing what he's averaged, and that right now is, he's averaging 24 minutes in his career. But if he's getting, let's say, 20 minutes, if he's effective, that's a huge help. Absolutely huge help.
Well, let me just say this, Adam. Yeah, I know.
You have to understand. See, here's the thing. He's not satisfied playing that many minutes. He wants more.
Yeah.
But you have to play well enough. If you're going to be shooting 33% from 3
or less,
that's not going to work. And you're not necessarily a guy that can get to the hoop at will, then what? What's your benefit?
Well, you see it with LeBron James. When he has those seasons like last season where he's shooting 30 to 32%, he can literally shoot you out of basketball games. When he's shooting 35, 36% on the volume that you see, Joe, you actually can see the difference as far as how much easier it makes. Adam, I said, you said that I'm not high in the three-point shooting anyways. I'm higher guys that can get it to the rack. And yes, he can get it to the rack. There's no question about that. Loves the transition game, Sean and Joe. The thing is, though, your team is 27th last year in three-point shooting. And I will stress it again. Even if they move it up 5 or 6 slots, that makes it so much easier to stretch out the defense, to create more openings, to create more opportunities for other things to happen in the offense. Do you disagree or agree?
If I'm Cam Reddish, I'm doing what Jared Vanderbilt is hopefully doing. sitting at that three-point line and making shots, because if you really want to score and you want to get minutes, you're going to have to allow LeBron James to pass you the ball when he's penetrating. It's that simple. AD is not the type of guy you can put in the block and, move it around like Shaq and throw it to the open guy. I think that was one of Shaq's very underrated skill sets, is he was able to pass out of the post. AD doesn't do that, which is why playing center doesn't work. We want him playing power forward so he can open up that lane so that LeBron can get through that lane, find the open guy, and you schmucks make the shot. You do that, the Lakers are winning every game by 10 and 15 points, and LeBron and AD are not killing themselves playing too many minutes. It's that simple. However, there is a mental game in this. I'm sure they're hitting those shots in practice, but they're not hitting them in the game. Make them in the game and watch what your value will be at the end of the year. Because if everybody wins here, in terms of being happy, and then the Lakers win the championship, everyone's going to get paid who's a free agent next year. Imagine Christian Wood coming in. Imagine, he plays 25 minutes a game and is averaging 15 points a game and is not a problem in the locker room. You're telling me someone's not going to offer him?
Oh, yeah.
3 years, $30 million next year?
Because they finally think he's on the way up. They finally think that he's figured it all out. They finally think he's matured.
Then you'll turn into Eric Dampier, but that won't be our problem when you leave. So there you go.
This is true. Sean, I do want to ask you this, though, before we head on out, some final thoughts.
Talladega Nights is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, let's talk about Talladega Nights.
Well, okay.
I would talk about it, Gerald. I'm sorry, Sean, but there's way too many sensitive. Not naming anybody. My favorite scene in that film is the pool hall from Formula Air. It started from there.
Sacha Baron Cohen, he was so good in that movie.
Oh my God.
Formula Air. And then, of course, we don't want to insult things and then find out that Gerald.
No, but I've been told I do have like a John C. Reilly thing going on with the mustache. I've been told that before.
You just need a perm.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But I only touched on this earlier a little bit, Sean, and that was the poor defensive rating. 118 defensive rating last season. Again, something to worry about. When you've seen.
That's only 117 players in the NBA that play.
115, 113, wow. 114, and 118 in his 4 seasons.
I mean, is this guy just going, all right, here, go ahead.
That's like Matador style. That is like, we talked about Christian Wood, and since then we proved that Gabe Vincent almost has bad defense statistically when you look at it. And this guy, Cam Reddish, statistically was worse than Christian Wood on that end.
You know, it's interesting, Gerald. When in preparing for this, and I did happen to have to prepare. I look back at. I'm kidding. I look back. I love doing this.
He ignored you the whole way.
Yeah. I look back at his lone season at Duke because, Gerald, I always had this philosophy that. And I've followed it because other people have stated this. Watching college football for so long that it pretends to how well a player will play in the NFL, how he plays in his conference or against other really good teams, and that's a good qualifier. So in the games where Reddish was up against, a quality team or a quality coach, Gerald, he didn't play well. The first game aside, when Duke played Kentucky, Gonzaga, he got less than 10 points. Mark Few played Texas Tech and Chris Beard, got less than 10 points. Played Tony Bennett at Virginia, got less than 10 points. He got only 1 point in the last game when they played Tom Izzo and Michigan State. So kind of an interesting qualifier there. Kind of tells the story of his game. I think a lot of the times what happens with Reddish is because he's on a second unit, and it's always in the back of his mind that he's going to be disgruntled, Gerald, no matter what. That's I think Joe alluded to that earlier. That no matter where he's gone, in the back of his mind, there's always a problem on the horizon as far as playing time is concerned, or he's not being utilized the way he thinks he should. Well, all that kind of like needs to be thrown out the window, because if he doesn't just shut it all down and just do what he's told, and he will get playing time if he does that. But if he kind of has this attitude problem, Gerald, wouldn't surprise me if it's a similar to a Thomas Bryant situation where he just walks up to the office and asks to be traded.
And that should be a lesson to all. Thomas Bryant goes to the Laker office and says, "I want to be traded because I'm not getting the playing time." Then goes to a team that didn't play him at all. What does that tell you about your play, Thomas Bryant? Be careful what you wish for, because you might not get it. Wait, that didn't come out right. You know what I mean.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, along with me, Gerald Glassford, and MagicMan Sean Grice. Thanks so much for watching and listening.
MagicMan doesn't do his homework. MagicMan just remembers everything. He's Rain Man.
I thought you were the one that had the elephant memory.
I have the statistic memory. MagicMan has the memory of every hour of every day of his life. That I don't have.
Now, Thomas Bryant,
Joe's like the filing cabinet, and then I'm all the little.
So I'm like the one that you have to kind of do this.
Yep.
MagicMan is on his table, and he just goes, "Oh yeah, what was that you needed? Yeah, it's 4, 5, 6." What's Gerald?
Oh, here we
Braille?
go.
Yeah, Zangerstein. I don't think Thomas Bryant will get a lot of playing time in Miami either. So,
but he'll have a lot of fun.
And good luck asking Pat Riley for a trade, because I just want to be a fly on the wall if he's disgruntled again about his playing time.
The best scene.
He's asking the Godfather for a trade.
The best scene in Winning Time is when McKinley is in the bar and they're interviewing Pat Riley. And I'm sitting there, I watch this clip on YouTube all the time just because I love just the
look at his face.
Yeah, he's like, well, he's got a lot to do with it. He's just like, you shitty New York Irish bleep bleep, F you. And he's like, you first. Oh man, you notice Pat Riley never complained about that, by the way?
Never.
Season 2 is coming up very soon,
and it looks good. It really looks good. I can't wait. And someone needs to relay the message, and maybe Jerry did get the message that we love him more because of the show, regardless if it's true or not. At least I do. And his Wolf comment proved it even more that that's who he is.
Absolutely. That Wolf comment is just...
That was one of the baddest comments I've heard in a long time. He didn't even hesitate. I wish we could have him back.
It just, look, man.
Burn that bridge, Joe. Burn that bridge.
Look. I worked with him. For a long time. Let me tell you something. Some of these hillbillies are just built differently mentally, and he was one of them. Some guys are just, you cannot even put into words their competitiveness. Jerry West, Philip Rivers, John Elway, Jack Lambert. Moses Malone. It comes from somewhere not inside like an actual person, Gerald, that energy. Very few have it. But like Joe said, Jerry had it, Mike had it, Kobe had it. It's rare. It's that literal ultra competitiveness about everything.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate you watching and listening here as we talked Cam Reddish for today, hoping for better things and a revival of his career here with the Lakers this season. Tomorrow, who is Taurean Prince? We'll talk about Taurean Prince. We'll talk about what he can do, the versatility he can bring, and also the reasons why he may have not gotten the contract he desired with the Lakers that he wanted to get from Minnesota. So we'll talk about that coming up. But guys, once again, want to stress from all of us here at the Lakers Fast Break our deepest wishes and thoughts and prayers to the James family. Want to go ahead and make sure and everybody know we have not heard any updates on the condition for Bronny James. It's still at this point in time stable and he's out of the ICU. So hoping for good things for help going forward, and hopefully he will come back and get up on his feet and be able to be Bronny once again. Just to, the athletic, full of joy kid. Just so tragic to see someone so young be able to experience something like this. So I'm rooting for him, and I know everybody else is as well. But guys, other than that, we talked about the Jaylen Brown extension, $300 million, 304 to be exact.
A literal pot of gold, like
A
a
literal-
literal pot of gold
Yeah.
for Jaylen Brown. Highest contract ever in the NBA, Gerald. It's likely to be eclipsed by his teammate in a few months.
Yep.
And then I'm not sure who's up next.
That's 338. If
Right.
Tatum is offered an extension, which he will be, everybody knows out there he will be. That's 338. So we talked about the final year of Jaylen Brown's contract is 69 million and change. Guess what? The last year on Jason Tatum's extension, when
What's
he
it,
signs
78, 79?
it will probably be in, I'd say 70, 76, 70. Yeah, I'd say in that range.
That's
Close to $80 million, Joe. $80 million for that final season for Jason Tatum when he signs that extension. How insane is that?
Terrible, terrible contract for a very good player. Not a great player, very good player. Unfortunately, timing is terrible for the Celtics. They either pay him or I think somebody else would have, but then even not really. I don't think anybody would ever paid him that. But
what, for Jaylen Brown? No.
I want to say I
$70
support the
Jaylen Brown,
trade.
no.
I support the trade because it's going to hamstring the Celtics to the point where if Kristaps Porzingis comes up lame, then they're going to be they're going to have a problem. But it was a good trade. I'm not saying it was a bad trade. That's actually a good trade. But they're going to need to hope he stays healthy.
I'm going to say Mark right now, because Mark said almost 1 million per game. Sean and Joe, before the end of the decade, somebody will sign an $82 million contract. I'm pretty sure it's trending in that direction. By the end of this decade, someone will. I don't know who it will be. Let's say maybe it could be a Victor Wembanyama if he pans out, or because I think John Morant wouldn't be.
I can't figure out how these guys are paying this. I don't. What's the TV contracts are an issue, and you're having strikes in the entertainment industry. Yet these guys are getting paid 82. I'm not going to use the word overpaid because again, there's only 450 players in the NBA at any given time. It's just based off the setup. Why the hell would you pay someone that money? You're destroying your team. I'm talking about all the owners. Like, what's the point of this? I don't know. Whatever.
But it is the Lakers fast break. It is something, again, Joe and I don't mind that
Ooh,
Boston.
live free. That's a hot take, brother. That's a real hot, juicy,
Yeah,
stinky
I have
take.
to disagree. Although Sean Bradley did get some numbers at the height of his career. The height of his career wasn't, pardon the pun, that long, but he did get some good numbers while he was out there. But yeah, Wembayama is more of a wing right now than a center. So I think people need to put that in context and perspective because I think he really has a lot to offer, and I see some really special things happening with Victor Wembanyama. I really think he's the real deal. So that's what I'm looking forward to catching along with the Lakers, of course, this
Well,
season.
and Gerald, we also wish the best for Sean Bradley. Unfortunately, Sean was paralyzed a
Yeah,
couple years ago. A motorist hit him as he was riding his bicycle and took off.
yeah.
Um, and
Did they ever
unfortunately,
catch that person?
I don't recall if they ever did or not. I really hope they did because that was that's one of the worst human behaviors that we come across. One of the very worst.
Prayers for Sean, indeed, and also prayers for Bronny. Hopefully, everything will turn out okay for Bronny James, as again, he's resting in stable condition at USC Medical Center. If there's any news that needs to be told, obviously, despite what some people on Facebook were telling us, we will be telling you and we will be communicating the latest Lakers news and information, because you out there seem to, for the most part, appreciate it. And skepticism and conspiracy theories aside, I think most part we were able to bring you this morning a really good show under those difficult circumstances. So if there's any updates, we will go ahead and make sure we pass along that for the Lakers fast break. But guys, tomorrow, Torian Prince.
Torian Prince,
Okay,
Return of
Torian.
the Prince.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just go and cover what the good and the bad and the kind of perplexing when it comes to Torian Prince, why his contract wasn't picked up, but why he could be a big help for the Lakers on what he's making. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. If you have any questions for us, always put it below or in the comments, or you could always go ahead and make sure you let us know. LakersFastBreak at yahoo.com or LakersFastBreak on social media. Please like and subscribe to this video. It helps us out. It gets us out there. It helps us out to get to more people in their lives that are Lakers fans that need to know more, and we're bringing it to them. So we're not stopping. We're bringing you show after show after show. We're not taking the month of August off. We're going to hit it hard, and please keep following us because we need all the support we can get. So again, for Joe Soro, aka Ox1947 at LakersBall.com and SynBlades with Y.com, the Magic Man, Sean Grice, going back into Toronto traffic after this is done. And me, Gerald Glassford, thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. Hoping you'll stop by tomorrow to hear our thoughts on Torian Prince and what he could do for the team. And we're glad to go ahead and share them with you right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.